Right, was it the Normans or was it the Romans?
Well,
where are you going to go?
They reckon that the Normans brought them in properly, but the Romans brought them first. They brought the rabbits in first, according to Simon Whitehead. I think Simon's a bit older than me, so he might have been able to remember when they came. But the Romans brought the rabbits first, but because they were from Mediterranean climates, their rabbits, they didn't do very well in our country. So they didn't last very long. But then the Normans brought them in and got a lot better with them. Now when the Normans brought them in, they walled them up in big warrens. And that's where we get all the ancient names like Warren Percy, Bishop Warren, and all these really old places where the Warren were a massive industry. Apart from the food, the meat that were produced, the Warreners used to shave all the fur off the rabbit's skin after the rabbits had been caught, and all the fur was felted up. So, and then they made hats out of it and clothing, and they still do nowadays. They still make a Cobra Aussie hat, the sort that Crocodile Dundee wears. That's made out of rabbit felt. But we're going to have a look at our ferrets now. And I mean, it's a red hot day, so we won't really be working ferrets this time of year, to be honest. But we're going to show you what we can, and we're going to have a look at job and just see what things are a little bit different, really. Everybody always says that they stink, and the ferrets do have an aroma, but they're not stinky, and everybody reckons that they're really vicious. But they're not vicious, really, at all. So, that little smell that they have, it's really important. They need to have that smell, because when that rabbit's running around and it's set, it's dark underground, and we get our rabbits tucked up in the burrows, or the burries, or the sets, or whatever you want to call them, the warrens. They're quite tame, they're quite handleable, they're alright. They're like anything that we keep, whether it's a dog, bird of prey, horses or anything. You only get out of them what you put into them, and if you just keep them chucked in a box and lift lid up every now and again and lob a bit of food in for them, they're not going to thank you for it. But if you handle them a lot and pick them up, they do like human company. Every morning when I go to my ferrets, they run them down cage, and I can't wait to come out. And they do like being handled, even on red hot days like this. So, as you can see, these ferrets here, there's a difference in size and colour. And if you ask half a dozen ferreters what sort of ferrets they like to work, you'll get half a dozen different sorts of answers. I'm just a bloke that in my spare time I like to catch a few rabbits. I love it. There's many a time that I've been driving down the road and my mind's been across fields, and I'm looking over at fields, my mind's wandering, and I'm looking at rabbits, and I've nearly crashed car, and my wife will scream her head off at me and say, your dad's got rabbit fever, kids ain't seeds properly. So that's what we call it, rabbit fever. Now, it's an artificial rabbit set. I know there's some slow people around here, but everybody can see that this isn't real. And we can't really have a real rabbit set, because in the middle of this field, and I'm sure that if I wanted to take you across the fields, you'd not all want to come to just see rabbits. So this is how it is. Is I'm covering in nets, and these are called purse nets, and basically they're just a drawstring bag. You put your net over your hole, and when your rabbit comes flying out, when it smells that ferret, it goes into the purse net and it purses up, and it's just a drawstring bag. But it don't stop there. We have to have all sorts of gadgets. And ideally what we do, when we get to our rabbit set, we'll cover every hole in a purse net before we put the ferret in, and we'd stick it in like that, make sure every hole's covered, have a look round, make sure there's no bolt holes, which are small escape holes that are sometimes somewhat a little bit further away from the set. And just to make sure, we're going to use a long net as well. And we'll push our long net in. A peg at a time. And run it around the net, around the set a bit. It's a bit like a belt and braces approach really. So if several rabbits came out at the same time, out at the same hole, you don't want to catch the first one in the net, but the second one would run straight into the long net. I'll leave that little bit in there because you don't have to use it all, but the rabbits that we've been bolting from here, generally speaking, all run towards castle, so we've got it covered. We'll just check our net, make sure it's alright. If you notice, this net's got plenty of slack in it, or bagging. We don't want it nice and tight, it don't want to be like a fence where the rabbit's going to bounce off, and hopefully the rabbit would run straight into the net and get tangled up. We ain't got a full net out, it's just to get a rough idea. We ain't got our ferreting ground yet, but we'll do that now. I love these little gel ferrets, and I don't like digging, so if we were to use a big strong hob ferret, we'd end up with problems, because the big strong hob can kill underground quite easy, and then we have to dig the bugger out. So we like little gels, we don't like digging. So we'll put our ferret in, and we'll just run it through the holes. And then everybody would be quiet. You don't want to be smoking near the set. You don't want to be making any noises. Stamping your feet if it's a frosty day. Quietness is the key. We have to be really quiet because some rabbits know that we're out here, and if we make a lot of noise, they won't bolt. So, generally speaking, I like to have a flask of tea or a drink and let the set settle down before I put my ferret in my rabbit hole. But we've only got a small amount of time here, so we ain't got time for a 20-minute break while we're waiting for anything to happen. But you sometimes get a telltale sign. The rabbits, when they get frightened, they drum the back feet, and that's where they get the ancient term drummers from. And when they drum the back feet, it's alerting all the rest of the rabbits that there's danger around. They've smelt that ferret, and a rabbit will bolt straight into the net, and the first thing I do is put my foot inside the hole, and we dispatch our rabbit. We break its neck, and it's all tangled up in the net. It's only a small rabbit, this one though, isn't it?